last day of the week, red zone. So it's been good. Guys are locked in. We need to have a good one, another good one today, and then we'll be ready to go. Questions?
About the red zone, that was obviously such a big factor in last week's game. You guys have been really good red zone efficiency this year, but they also have been really good defensively. I think they're third in the league. Just what makes them so good, so tough in the red zone?
Well, pressure. They pressure, but then once you get into third down, they calm things down and they do what they do, and they're really good at it. And so there's a lot of these, especially when you get in there really tight. They'll play a couple of coverages and they don't care if you know what it is. They're better at it than you are, and they've done a great job of that. There again, I go back. They got a veteran group. You're talking about this secondary: Winfield, Levante David. So they communicate well. They have a really good understanding where their help is at, and that's it's one of the reasons why they do such a good job. And then they, just with what they do with the front, they shut down the run game. Most of the time, good red zone teams run the football. Well, they're not going to allow you to run it. So you want to get big, they get bigger than you get, with packages. So it's just, Bowles has always been that way. He's done a hell of a job with it. And it's going to be a test. It'll be a major test for us.
You pushed James Houston's acclimation window to the final day before making the decision. It's a big time of year. It's a long layoff. What can you reasonably expect from him in terms of workload in a game like this?
Yeah, we still got to gauge if we feel like he will be ready, And I know this, he's better. He's a lot better this week than he was last week, and that's the progression of it, right? Is every week he should start to get his legs back under and feel good about it. And, we got to decide if we really believe that if he goes, are we going to get the production relative to who we're sitting, for the rest of the team, So that's kind of where we're at. But I know he looks a ton better. I know he wants to go. Who wouldn't? So, but he's done a nice job coming back.
Is there something that you're looking for in practice that will tell you that if he's ready, or is it just the discussion?
Yeah, everything's practice. Everything's practice related.
How far in advance do you know what you're going to say in your Saturday team meeting? Like, do you have an idea of what you're going to tell the guys right now?
No.
What? You're 2 wins away, obviously, from making the Super Bowl. What is the balance, whether it's then or whatever, that you have to have, I guess, between addressing that elephant in the room, right? The Super Bowl is sort of there for the close enough to touch, but also focused on this week and the importance.
Well, the guys, look, I mentioned something about it the other day. They know we only have 3 left here, and then you get a bye, Get a bye after 2, and then you get the third one. So there's only 3 left here, but it all starts with 1. And that's really the process all year. No matter where you're at, if you lost 1, you won 5 in a row, now you're in the playoffs, man, it's all about the one in front of you. You have to stay focused on that. So everything we've got, full focus on this game, do your job one more time. For any of the butterflies, all of that of the first playoff game ever for a lot of guys, and get the monkey off your back. Well, now you're in a second playoff game. Now you've got experience in that. You understand the environment. You understand what our house is going to be like, which is electric, which should give you a surge of energy. And so I think this is good, but it's all focus on 1.
Dan, I held you up at the end of your last press conference and got maybe the wires crossed a little bit on the way I asked the question, but your coordinators are up for jobs, correct? And good chance one or both earn the opportunity that they're going to get. I was curious about your backup plan. Like, how do you approach from whether it's off season to now? Like, how much time are you putting into thinking about what's next with your staff and what goes into that process?
Nothing right now.
Yeah.
That to me is done all in the off season. And that's the point at where you have to have an answer for the next year if you lose coordinators for the following year. So that thing's been in motion. My head has been there back in the offseason. It's not there right now at all, not even close. Everything is about right now. We got our 2 coordinators here who are outstanding coaches, as well as Dave Phipp. And they're the biggest reasons why we're sitting where we're at. And so they're here, and they're part of us. I'm glad they're part of us, and that we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
How do Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn balance the interviews that they have with preparing for this game?
Well, we'll find out because it starts today. Here's what I know this about both of them. man, they are 100% team oriented. They're all about the team. They're all about this plan. They're all about those players in that room and the other coaches around them. And that's where it all starts for them. They both understand they have an opportunity, but it's and so they're going to take these. But they also know, hey, if anything, what you're going to get is I'm going to tell you, you're going to find out who I am, right? And here's the luxury that a lot of coaches have that do these that aren't in the playoffs. They get to dive into the roster of, hey, I want to go in. You're interviewing me, Washington. Okay, I'm going to look at your roster up and down, tell you what you do well, what you don't, what I do with it. But they can't do that. They don't have time. They don't have time. So what they need to do is, and they will, just let them know who you are, what you're about, why you feel like we had success here, the things you believe in. And either they like you or you don't. And that's just, it's a little unfair, but it's also, it's the business. And so you do that, you move on, get ready for the game, and here we go.
You were missing some defenders the last time you played these guys, some really key pieces. I wanted to ask you specifically about Brian Branch, though. Just the way you've been able to deploy him in such a versatile role as a rookie. When you have him versus when you don't, how much more complete and whole is your play calling ability on that side of the ball?
It helps significantly. He's done a great job. Now, I'll say this, getting Ducey back brings a lot of flexibility back to what we're able to do, whereas we didn't have that luxury earlier. So when we did lose Branch, it does handcuff you a little bit. And so just look, one of the best things AG did, and us talking about it, was let's just put him at nickel, leave him there, and let him grow from there. No different than what we did with Ducey at New Orleans. And he's really just taken off. And the things that he's able to do, what he brings to the table, his blitz ability, his coverage ability, the fits in the run game, all of that, it does help us. It does help AG, along with all those other guys. So it's good. Yeah, we didn't have him last time. This will be good.
Dan, what is the most underrated or underappreciated part of Jared's toughness?
Underappreciated. Well, I don't know what is out there that would be viewed as what people don't really see. I just go back to this all the time. I don't think, for me, it'll always be, if you're an outsider, do you really understand just how resilient he is? I think sometimes that doesn't always, it's not always seen. His ability to bounce back from things that don't go well, I think. And I always felt this way about him. Now that I'm around him, it's been 3 years, and I felt this early. Man, he's at his best when his back's against the wall, And now it hasn't been against the wall, but he's doing well, And I just think that's something that has always impressed me, And man, when things don't look good and we're not moving the ball, or you have a couple of turnovers, and you feel like the world's kind of coming in on you, man, he's really at his best. He comes out of that because he can look at it and he can take the coaching and he can look at it himself and say, well, yeah, that's because of my footwork. That's because of it's simply that. It's not anything else. It's not, oh, well, he just can't play anymore. He's lost his mojo. No, it's my right foot. It's where I start with my eyes. It's my, And I think that's crucial. I think that's, he's very process oriented, and that's what pros do. That's how pros get better. That's how they play consistently, in this league.
How long did it take you to figure that out that first year here? I mean, Brad was telling you these things, I'm sure, but and you challenged Jared at different times in that first year too.
When you're in the middle of that year, I think somewhere around the bye, that's when you really notice it, because look, none of us are, and we're all under heat, and I'm not a very good coach, and he's not a very good quarterback, and Brad's not a very good evaluator of talent. Can't get enough pieces. It's the whole thing, and so you can't listen to all that. But I just know that when all that stuff was surfacing, man, that's about as bad as it gets, and he never got frazzled by it. And I just think that's impressive, And I told those guys this. He's one of those. It's easy to find out. It's easy when everything's going right. You're winning games. Guys are around. They all love it. You want to be a part of it. But when you are 0-10-1, you find out about people. You find out about players and coaches. people in the organization. And so that's why you have the best perception of what those people are and how they're made and what drives them and what they're willing to do for those around them. It's a much better viewpoint and look at people than when everything's going great. You got 12 wins, you're blah, blah, blah. So he's one of those guys. I know exactly what he is when it's at its worst, and I'll take that guy any day.
Ben Johnson's decision to come back this year, turning down some head coaching interviews last year, how has that made him a better coordinator, you think, going through this season?
I think it's made him a better coach. You know, yeah, he's grown as a coordinator, got a little bit better. You learn things as you would being in that position again. But I think, yes, there's that, but I think it's made him more rounded, well-rounded coach. I just think everything has grown. I think he's got a very good grasp of what we do, roster management. I think when you do that and you get in that and it's like, okay, there could be a next step. I'm not ready for that. In my head, I don't want to do that yet. Yes, I'm a better coordinator, but it's also, he knows he's starting to look for and ask these questions about those roster, game day, building a team, what you're looking for, front of the room. You know, and I think it's served him well, and it's a credit to him. And but not many people would do that, but that's how he viewed it. It's an experience for him. It's a chance to grow, and it's a chance to grow with people that he appreciates being around. Those players, the coaches, everybody in this building.
The first game against Tampa, I think Baker attempted like 12 passes of 20-plus yards downfield. They only hit one of them, so you guys did a pretty good job on that. When they max protect, when they do what they do, trying to take those shots, what are the keys for your defense, your secondary to
13. You know, we got to find a way to squeeze this in on Baker. If you let him sit back there and play with rhythm in a hitch, it's dangerous because he will get it up to his guys and he's going to give them a chance to make a play. But Evans is he's an issue, and our guys know that. We can't let him go off. You know, you watch the New Orleans game from a couple of weeks ago. You know, they're going, New Orleans kind of up, and then all of a sudden, under 2 minutes, man, 3 shot plays, bam, 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 and just like that, they're back within a 1-score game possibly, under 2 minutes with a chance to onside kick and get the ball back. I mean, so they're never out of this, even if you're able to do some things early because of those receivers and his ability to give them a chance to make a play on the ball. All right, thanks.